Welcome to DKR Sports. This is the NFL Recap Show. I'm Rubin Wright. This is Billy Frey, and this is Coutts. Today we're going to talk about just all the games, basically. So let's start off with the Thursday night game. The Bengals played the Dolphins. Bengals won 22-7. You guys got anything? What do you think?
I mean, A.J. Green went off 173 yards and a touchdown.
Now, here's what I think. A.J. Green went off, but imagine what he would have done if Andy Dalton wasn't the quarterback who swung better. A.J. Green's basically this team. Andy Dalton only threw that one touchdown to Andy Dalton. And if you actually look at the stats, the majority of yards went to A.J. Green, more than 50% of the yards passed.
And it was against the Dolphins' weak defense.
Dolphins' weak defense. Also, their offense is
Dolphins are
suspect.
Yeah.
Tannehill's not a great quarterback. But, you know, the Dolphins...
173 yards is quite a bit, though.
Yeah, Dolphins now fall to 1-3, and the Bengals move on to 2-2. Do you guys think Bengals could be playoff contender?
I think the Bengals' record does not reflect how good of a team they actually are. The Bengals are my early Super Bowl pick. I think they will win the AFC North, and we're going to see them go deep in the playoffs and possibly a Super Bowl matchup in the future.
Okay. Well... Okay, let's move on. And one of the first games I'm seeing right now is the Colts Jaguars. The Jaguars ended up winning 30-27. Andrew Luck has been down on his performance. A lot of people I heard had him as a preseason MVP candidate, but now all of a sudden the Colts are only 1-3. What's happening in Indianapolis?
I think that what we saw early in Andrew Luck's career was just the epitome of a weak division and the results of that. So his stats were inflated his first couple of years, and I believe he's already reached his peak. And I feel the Colts aren't as good as we think they are.
And moving towards the Jaguars, I think the Jaguars are a better team than they've played. They started out 0-3, got their first win. I think this is a comeback game for them. They got most of the hard games out of their season. Now they look towards an easier season, and I feel like they could pull some wins up.
Definitely.
Make the playoffs.
The Jaguars spent a lot of money in free agency. They've picked up some nice, acquisitions. But moving forward, what do you think? Do you think Blake Bortles, they're going to have to upgrade Blake Bortles, or do you think he'll eventually grow into the position?
I think Blake Bortles, along with the same quarterback draft the same year, Derek Carr, are both going to progress. We're going to see becoming the best quarterbacks in the league eventually. And the Raiders and the Jaguars are going to be the team, I think, for the next decade.
And look at their receivers, like Robinson and Hearns. They're really young talent.
They go deep at receiver. They also got Marquise Lee, and they got Mercedes Lewis at tight end, Julius Thomas. At running back, they got Yeldon and Ivory.
It's a good team.
Definitely a good team. But moving on, the Bills played the Patriots at Gillette Stadium, and the Bills ended up winning 16-0. This is one of, I guess, the upsets of the week. Jacoby Brissett played very poorly. I know he had a couple possessions where he fumbled, and he had some good passing, numbers, but Tyrod Taylor kind of lights up a Patriots defense.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time the Patriots lost at home?
I think it was 1993 or something.
Geez.
Yeah. No,
Or got shut out.
What I believe is I always believe that New England ran a great system, plugged any quarterback into this. We saw this week that's just not the case. It worked a couple other weeks with Jimmy Garoppolo. We might just saw that Jacoby Brissett isn't just that great. But, with the Patriots, though, this is what we saw. This is what the Tom Brady-less team is going to look like after he retires, and the future doesn't look so great post-Brady.
I mean, Garoppolo he was doing pretty well until he got injured. So
I don't think Garoppolo's that great.
All right.
Well, Brady does come back next week.
Do you think he'll be rusty, or do you think he'll be ready to go?
I mean, he's been tanning down there, and
he's been practicing with Wes Welker in the backyard.
Yeah.
And Giselle.
So hopefully Brady will be able to turn it around. But the Patriots, do you think, are they still a favorite to go to the Super Bowl?
No.
No?
I think they make the wild card. They don't get a high seed. They get a low seed, 4th seed. They get knocked out first round by a wild card team, I think. I think this team is overrated. They don't got barely any weapons on offense. Tom Brady's an overrated quarterback, and he's just good because of a good system.
I just kind of want to see how they play with Gronkowski and Tom Brady fully back.
Yep.
See how the
I don't think we're going to be seeing Gronk back fully healthy.
Definitely, yeah. Gronk hamstring injury over the offseason, and he's been affected by it now the first 4 weeks. So it's something that is going to be an interesting debate as it moves on. And will Tom Brady, I mean, we saw Brissett, we saw Garoppolo, and both of them have had some success. But are more teams like the Bills going to be able to step up and knock off even Brady? That'll be the interesting question. But moving on, the Texans played the Titans. Marcus Mariota trying to lead the Titans a little bit, but was not able to get it done. Brock Osweiler led the Texans to a 27-20 victory. Really, I mean, the Texans don't have J.J. Watt, so I mean, their defense is a little suspect, but Will Fuller is going off.
Yeah, that's good.
I think basically what we're seeing here is you had a great receiver in DeAndre Hopkins here on the Texans. You throw in a Will Fuller, you throw in a Jalen Strong. What that does basically is it opens up the field for Hopkins. It opens up the field for Fuller because now you don't have double coverage on Hopkins all the time. It works out better for that fact. Of course, you had Houston with a bad game against New England. They all got bad games. And honestly, I feel Osweiler's still adjusting to the new offense. I feel it's partial. I don't think the coaching's that great with O'Brien. But overall, I think right now, because of the weak division, right now is bright for the Texans in the future.
So with Tennessee, they have Marcus Mariota. They picked him up just last year, right? Last year, 2015.
Yeah, last year.
Second overall.
What was that a good pickup for them, or do you think moving forward they're going to have to find someone else?
I didn't like Mariota coming out of the draft, honestly. I didn't like Winston or Mariota. Winston, I like now. I think he's developed better. I still think Mariota's a bust. I don't think that type of quarterback will work in the NFL. He would have had to get drafted by one of those Chip Kelly offenses,
Okay. Well, the Houston Texans are now 3-1. Tennessee moves on to 1-3. Houston, are they a playoff contender?
As of now, they are.
Okay.
They can win their division just because of the weakness in the other teams. We're going to have to see if the Jaguars come back, I think.
Okay. Well, moving on, the Falcons played the Panthers. The Falcons won 48-33, and Julio Jones had a career day for the Falcons. Matt Ryan had a great day with 500-plus yards. Do you think this Falcons team is a contender?
I like the current Falcons team. Julio Jones is an amazing receiver, in my opinion, and what happened to the Panthers? I thought the Panthers were a decent team. They're not looking too good.
The Panthers are now 1-3, coming off from a Super Bowl loss, and Cam Newton is looking a little suspect there.
I'm pretty sure the Panthers, who knows, maybe last year's run was a fluke. They're showing their true colors right now.
And it's amazing with Carolina, because if you look at them, they have Cam Newton, they have Greg Olsen, they have Luke Kuechly, they've got a defense, they've got an offense.
Kelvin Benjamin back.
Kelvin Benjamin's there. And they're 1-3.
Yeah.
And it's not even like they're playing bad teams. That's the thing.
And you know, though, with Matt Ryan's crudely underrated. Matt Ryan right now is the best quarterback in the NFL. You hear it here first. Matt Ryan right now has thrown over. He's the only quarterback to throw over 1,300 yards right now. He's leading the NFL, well, tied, I believe, with 11 touchdowns. Tied, leading the NFL with 11 touchdowns. And he has the league's highest passing percentage with 72. Okay?
Jeez.
The last quarterback to have a season with over a 70% completion percentage was Joe Montana in the 80s. Okay? And if you don't think this Falcons team can compete right now, you're wrong, because they're stacked. They got Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu at receiver. You got at running back Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman, both studs, both could be starters on any team. And at tight end, you got the revival of Jacob Tamme right now.
The Falcons have been one of those teams, I guess, since Michael Vick's left and they drafted Matt Ryan. They've had their down seasons. Matt Ryan has always been a productive quarterback, but they've always had problems with either defense or they only had Julio Jones. But this year, they look to be a for-real team. And
how's their defense, Billy?
They have Desmond Trufant at corner still. And he's an average to solid corner. This is not a shutdown by any means. But in the division they're competing in right now, they don't need a top-tier defense to win that division.
So with Carolina, is there, at least even if they make the wild card, is that shot looking like it's not going to happen?
It's diminishing because what did they start as? 1-1, 0-2?
0-1 because they lost to the Broncos and then they won. So 1-1, yes.
Because usually teams that start off 0-1, 0-2, I know they start off 1-1. The percentage-wise and historically-wise, that chances of them making the playoffs decreases. Of course, anything can happen with win streaks and schedules, but I just don't see it happening. Honestly, I feel like I originally had them obviously being one of the best teams in the league, but I think the way they're performing now, Cam Newton just got hurt in the last game, so who knows the status of him right now.
concussion in the fourth quarter, and he goes out.
We saw a nice effort by Derek Anderson, but he can't lead the team for the whole season, let alone the quarter.
Well, too, the Carolina's offense is pretty much completely based around Cam Newton. They run a lot of read option. They rely on Cam Newton's strong arm.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting moving forward, and Carolina might be in some trouble for at least the next game. Without, obviously, Cam Newton's out, concussion protocols. You got to go out one game. So moving forward, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But moving on, the Raiders beat the Ravens 28-27 in a last-second effort. What do you guys think of Derek Carr?
I like Derek Carr's performance so far this season. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. He threw 4 touchdowns this past weekend. I mean, I think he's completely underrated, and he's a stud.
I think what we're seeing from Derek Carr is coming out of the draft, no one realized he's a great quarterback from Fresno State University. And he was plagued, unfortunately, by his last name.
Brother.
His brother wasn't really a bust. His brother was also then unfortunate to fall into a team with no offensive line, just starting out. But he was plagued by that, being related to David Carr. But he's really proven himself separate from his brother, I think, so far in the NFL and progressing into the future. He could definitely develop into an elite quarterback because right now Oakland really has all the pieces. They got 2 great wide receivers in Crabtree, who's underrated, and they got the young receiver in Cooper, who's going to develop into that number 1 guy. They got Latavius Murray. I'm pretty sure they just drafted DeAndre Washington. So the Raiders, because look, Peyton just retired from Denver, so the Denver's doing well, but who knows how it's going to progress going on. Chiefs, honestly, are just that average team that sticks around there, and Chargers, once Phil Rivers retires, that's done.
Yes.
So really the Raiders are going to be taking over that division very soon. We're going to be seeing the playoffs, and Derek Carr will become that elite guy for them.
The Raiders in Derek Carr, definitely a steal of the draft. He goes in the second round, I believe, number 4. They have all the pieces. Is this now a team that could contend for at least a playoff spot?
I mean, definitely the playoffs. I don't know how much further than that this year, but I know in the future I could see a lot of things coming from them.
I think Oakland will win the division.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that this year.
If Denver's gone off to a hot start, but I don't think it's going to continue. I think Denver's only shot at making playoffs is the wild card. I think they're going to fall short of that.
Definitely.
They're in a competitive division, so.
And they're relying on Trevor Siemian, which, I mean.
Yep.
Trevor Siemian just got hurt.
And, yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yes. But moving on, the Redskins played the Browns, and the Browns have now had an awful start again. That sounds like a repeated record.
Yeah, what
but
else?
the Redskins beat them 31-20. What do you think of Hugh Jackson, the Browns head coach? I mean, 0-4 again. He's not looking like he's fixing the Browns anytime soon.
Well, no, the Browns are a project. You can't just expect one guy to walk in there and wave his fingers and expect it to all be sunshines and rainbows in one day, okay? Look, he lost RG3 week 1. The offense was supposed to be built around this guy. It completely changed what they're going to do. They found their running back finally in Isaiah Crowell, and it looks like Duke Johnson's going to be backing them up. I thought it was going to be the other way around, but Crowell right now is the second in rushing yards, and who knew that was going to happen? And he's actually doing it with less attempts than a normal running back would.
Well, with Crowell, do you think he's a good running back just on a really bad team?
It's very possible.
I mean, it looks by with his numbers, when you look at him, even the Browns have a terrible offensive line. I mean,
only Joe Thomas.
Yeah, and pretty much he gets consistent numbers each year we've seen.
Yeah.
So is it just a thing that, you know, if he was to leave in free agency, do you think he'd have?
See what's his contract? Do we know?
I believe he has either 2 years or something like that left.
Because as long as he has years on his contract, I don't see the Browns letting him go.
Oh, of course
until
not.
he asks for, and I don't see Crowell staying if he's being this successful on a bad team.
Yep. Well, the Browns now are falling to Cody Kessler. In this upcoming draft, we have some people like Deshaun Kaiser, and we have Deshaun Watson as well. Do the Browns, are they going to take a quarterback with RG3 hurt now and Josh McCown looking like he can't be the answer?
I think really what it is going to depend how Cody Kessler does going forward. We've only seen so little of Cody Kessler so far. Looking at his stats, he passed for he's a rookie from USC. He passed 40 times in the last game. Sure, he completed more than 50% of his passes. And he only threw 1 interception of those 40 passes as a rookie, which is impressive for a rookie. Because a rookie should not be throwing that much in a game, let alone on the Browns, with the lack of weapons they have. So, honestly, we got to see what happens with Cody Kessler going forward. Obviously, they're trigger happy, I think, at drafting quarterbacks, and that's why they didn't take Carson Wentz this year, which they probably regret. Who knows how Carson Wentz would have done in this different offense on this team.
So Washington, when they were going into the season, Washington was touted as someone who could compete for the division. They have Josh Norman. Kirk Cousins looks like the fixer for them after RG3 is now gone. Is Washington that possible playoff team?
I'm not too big on the Redskins making the playoffs. I'm a little biased fan, though, because I'm an Eagles fan, but I just don't think they'll outbeat the Eagles to win the division. I think the Eagles are winning it, but I'm a little biased.
The Washington Redskins last year, they made the playoffs. It's great for them. They never make the playoffs. That's a fluke for them. Because, look, they're in a broken division last year. The Giants sucked, the Eagles sucked, the Cowboys lost Tony Romo. They should have won. Cowboys should have won the division. But Cowboys lost all their players injured. They lost Dez. DeMarco left in free agency. And then Tony Romo was out for the season. So what are you going to do? And you know what? The Redskins made the playoffs. Great, but they're a fluke. Look, they got Kirk Cousins. He's an average quarterback at best. He does not deserve big money. Matt Jones is an up-and-coming running back, but nothing special. Running back can't carry the team.
Yep.
And who they got receiver? They got Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon's a bum.
And Deshaun Jackson.
Jordan Reed's probably the only viable option there right now. Deshaun Jackson, he's washed up also.
Yeah, and he gets injured frequently.
I don't even play in the last game. They got Jamison Crowder, but he doesn't do anything. He's only a slot guy.
Jamison Crowder out of Duke and one of those hopefully threat receivers they thought coming out of Duke, but right now it's not looking too prizing for him.
Draft a player from Duke.
But moving forward, the Broncos played the Buccaneers, and the Broncos ended up winning 27-7. The Broncos are now 4-0 under Trevor Siemian, but we did hear that Trevor Siemian has an injury to his shoulder. He gets out in the right before the halftime. Paxton Lynch comes in, still leads them to a victory. You know, Paxton Lynch just drafted out of Memphis as the 26th pick. Do you see Denver possibly making another Super Bowl run?
I think they can make the playoffs. I said before, I think they're not going to struggle in the division against teams like the Raiders. If best, I think they make the wild card, and then there'll be an early entry out for them.
How long did you say his injury was?
They don't know. The latest report though is they're giving him the best possible chance to come back this coming week. So I guess it's up to if he can do it. I mean, but we did see from Paxton Lynch, their rookie quarterback, that everyone thought was going to start initially. He can handle the offense okay. He's been watching for now 4 weeks. He's had all the offseason training. And, I mean, Trevor Siemian and him are kind of the same route. You know, Trevor Siemian's a 7th-round guy who I guess got a year of experience behind Peyton Manning. But Paxton Lynch, can they hold up with him? Maybe. I guess time will tell.
Well, I think the Gary Kubiak's offense is just, if you look at his previous teams, it's one of those offenses where any quarterback, I think, can succeed. I think it's a defensive run team. So basically, like, you'll see, he made Matt Schaub into a winning quarterback with the Texans. He made T.J. Yates into a winning quarterback one year. He went to the playoffs with T.J. It's the first year the Texans ever made the playoffs. So it's kind of just like, you can put any guy in here. Like, Peyton did well last year, and Peyton sucked.
Yeah, he had very bad record.
Brock Osweiler did well, and look what Brock's doing now in Houston. So we see Trevor Siemian doing well, and then you see Paxton well. It kind of gets to a point where you're like, okay, maybe it's the offense, not the quarterback.
Well, Tampa Bay now falls to 1-3, and they have Jameis Winston, they have Mike Evans. Everyone thought they were a great young team. Is this just some bumps in the road, or are there things, should they be worried down there in Tampa Bay?
No, I like Tampa. I had Tampa projected to go 10-6 beginning of the season. I think they can still do that. They're just off to a rough start. They have all of the weapons. They got Mike Evans and Vince Jackson, receiver. The only problem they had is they had to get rid of Safarian Jenkins at tight end because of off-the-field issues with the Jets now. And, of course, they lost Doug Martin, but Charles Sim is a pretty average running back. Those losses with Safarian Jenkins and Martin, of course, are going to hurt them. They're going to be challenges going forward. But, honestly, if Sims pulls through and if their new tight end pulls through, and they're going to have to refix the offense because they're not going to have that option at tight end anymore, they're just going to have to figure it out.
All right. Well, moving forward, the Rams, the interesting team of the year, won 17-13 over the Cardinals. The Rams, you know, they drafted Goff in the first overall. Goff has not played. They've played Case Keenum the entire year. And now the Cardinals, a team that everyone thought was a possible, you know, I guess Super Bowl team in a way, you know, playoff at least, with Larry Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer, right? Carson Palmer?
Yeah, I'm shocked that they're off to such a rough start with that old talent. They have a lot of veterans between Larry Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer. I don't know what's happening with them.
Honestly, I don't think this rough start means anything to the Cardinals. I think they'll still make the playoffs. I think they'll win the division. I think what we're just seeing is just some rustiness from these players. And honestly, look, if you look at them just statistically wise and look at how close these games are, they only had one game where they were blown out. And honestly, they're not playing that bad. Palmer only threw one interception last game. We don't want him to throw any, but it's better than 4, okay? And John Brown, he had over 130 yards with 10 receptions. So it's he's a good quarterback, good receiver right there. And you're stacked with Floyd and Fitzgerald, so it's they can succeed. All the pieces are there. I think this is a fluke.
And they got a great defense.
I think the Rams, honestly, I think it's just beginner's luck.
The Rams 3-1, and Goff still hasn't played. Case Keenum's in there. Is this because Goff is just not a good quarterback? And
Goff is going to be a bust. If you've seen Hard Knocks, you're going to know he's an idiot and he can't throw the ball. We can throw the ball, but he can't know who to throw it to because he's an idiot.
Who do you guys see winning that division? The Rams or the Seahawks, or maybe
I think the Cardinals come back and win it.
You do?
Yep. Cardinals or Seahawks, definitely probably the two front runners.
Cardinals are the most complete team in that division. Bruce Arians is the best coach in the NFL, best coach in the NFC, and they will
got a lot
back.
to come back, though.
Yeah, it's we got 12 more games left.
Yep.
Anything could happen.
Well, moving on, we have the Cowboys and the 49ers. The Cowboys, an interesting team in the NFL. Dak Prescott, an interesting quarterback. A lot of controversy, he's an interesting quarterback. Yeah. But we got controversy in Dallas. They won 24-17, and the Cowboys are now 3-1. When Tony Romo is officially healthy, does he come back and take the reins from Dak Prescott, or does Jerry Jones let Dak Prescott run with the team?
I think Tony Romo will get the start, only because, personally, I think Jerry Jones has a love for Tony Romo. I don't know why there's a love for Tony Romo. He gets injured way too frequently, and Dak Prescott's a nice quarterback. I just think Tony Romo will get the start, but it's a wrong decision. But I think that's what will happen.
I think the years with Romo in Dallas are gone. He will not be on the team next year. He will either be traded or cut. Romo is done with the Cowboys. This is Dak's team now. It's led by the rookies Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott. And they're the reason why this team's successful right now.
I mean, we've seen a Cowboys team now without Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant's hurt, and they're still having success. I mean, San Francisco, an interesting team. They have Blaine Gabbert starting, but they have Colin Kaepernick on the bench. A lot of people argue Kaepernick is the better quarterback. What do you guys think?
I think Kaepernick has an attitude problem. I don't like him as a quarterback. And I feel that he's almost cocky in the sense that he's basically the Geno Smith of the West. He's not a leader on his team right now. And that's the reason why he's not the starter and Blaine Gabbert is. And obviously, Blaine Gabbert isn't the franchise guy for the 49ers. He's just there until that guy comes around.
Good point. So moving on, we have the Lions and the Bears. The Bears won 17-14. The Bears, a terrible team.
I don't really see much out of that game, to be honest. Both teams are. I don't see much out of either team this year. I mean, both rebuilding. I don't know. You have anything else? Lions and the Bears?
Lions and Bears? No.
No.
So they're miserable. Except for Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, he needs to get out of Detroit, get to another team because he's a good quarterback on a bad team, and that guy needs to get to the playoffs soon.
Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh, my.
So moving on, the Seahawks beat the Jets 27-17. The Jets have had some offensive problems with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now 9 interceptions in just 2 games. Is it time for Fitzpatrick to sit the bench?
Now, look.
Let's hear Billy.
I came into the season. I love Fitzpatrick. I was a huge Fitzmagic fan. But you know what? It comes to a certain breaking point with Fitzpatrick. 10 interceptions in the first 4 games is ridiculous, and no quarterback should be allowed to start, regardless of the contract he was given because of that, okay? Ryan Fitzpatrick should be benched immediately. Look, this Jets season is almost going down the drain. They were projected to be a possible wildcard team. That might not even be in question anymore, okay? What we got to do is get Fitzpatrick out of there and just start testing things out. I don't care. Plug in Geno Smith. Plug in Christian Hackett. We just got to see what can happen.
So the Seahawks are now 3-1.
Pathetic.
3-1, and Russell Wilson was injured during the game they hear, but they play him even though they have a bye week next week. Is the Seahawks team, if Wilson stays healthy, are they a potential, go back to the Super Bowl team? Their defense looked, good against the Jets.
They have one of the greater quarterbacks in the NFL. Their struggle right now, I think, is honestly, I think they're one-dimensional wide receiver. Jimmy Graham's not the 10 he used to be. Doug Baldwin's the only real option, in my opinion. And they're thin at running back right now. So they can compete for the playoffs, but I don't think they're gonna go far.
So losing Marshawn Lynch was a
that's a big thing for him. But who knows? There's rumors of him coming out of retirement. If that happens,
That'd be interesting.
That is here. And that's
but
what
who knows? If Seattle still wants him, maybe they move him to someone else.
So in the Jets division, we have two teams tied for third. Both 1-3.
No,
aren't the Dolphins? Yeah, the Dolphins. They're tied with the Dolphins. Let's do an interesting scenario. What team comes in last? Is the Jets or the Dolphins?
I think it depends how the whole Fitzpatrick thing unfolds out. The Jets,
Yeah, I agree with that.
because Fitzpatrick's doing awful right now, and if he continues to perform that way, Ryan Tannehill's actually an average quarterback on a bad team. So if this continues, the Jets could definitely be last, but if he can finally find out how to play like he did last year through some magic, I don't know if it's magic, then this Jets team could propel to second. It's because again we have 12 games left. They could propel to second division. We got a lot of good teams that are with losing records for some reason. So we got Panthers with losing record, Cardinals on the same boat. So it's a weird season.
When's the trade deadline?
Trade deadline's week 6, I believe.
Now that Brady's back, I could see Brissett possibly being traded because they have Garoppolo as the backup. Brissett maybe going to the Jets. You never know.
The Patriots don't do deals. The Jets don't do deal with the Patriots.
You never know.
It doesn't happen. Would never happen.
Brissett to the Jets.
Okay, so the Saints beat the Chargers 35-34. Both teams are now 1-3. New Orleans has Drew Brees, but they are a little suspect. In San Diego, Phillip Rivers is the only thing holding them down to the ground. Everything else is, Melvin Gordon has had some success, but they don't have Keenan Allen. What do you think, I guess, of both teams right now?
I think the problem with the Saints, their offense is still a high-powered offense. It's their defense. Their defense can't stop anything. I would rank them probably the worst defense in the league right now.
I think the New Orleans Saints are the most overrated team in the NFL. Okay, look at this.
They're 1-3.
Drew Brees is like, compare Drew Brees to like a senior citizen. He is the senior citizen grandfather in the NFL right now. That guy needs to get out of here and retire. Okay, put him to the side. You got an above-average receiver and Brandon Cooks, and the only reason Willie Snead's all right is because you got Drew Brees there, quarterback still. They're tight. Kobe Fleener drops every pass that's thrown to him. Their offensive line is trash, okay. And look at their defense. Ever since Bountygate, they have not had a single good play on their defense because they all got suspended. They all left the team. They all retired. Their defensive coordinator got suspended indefinitely. Look, this team's overrated, and they will not be in the playoffs again for a very long time.
You heard it here first. Saints, most overrated team. So what about San Diego? Phillip Rivers, is he another Drew Brees?
Phillip Rivers?
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think Phillip Rivers can stick around? We know Drew Brees left the San Diego Chargers because of...
Every generation, every decade always has that one great quarterback that's just unfortunately put on a team that can't go to the playoffs, can't progress far in the playoffs. We've seen it previously in the 80s. I believe I forget the name of that quarterback from actually it's also the same team, San Diego Chargers. He's a play-by-play announcer now, and he's in the Hall of Fame actually. So that's why I think Phillip Rivers is consistently in the top 5 in passing yards, top 5 in touchdowns every season, despite being on a losing team, despite being not ever going to the Super Bowl. I think Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer, but it's just that it's unfortunate that this team has bad coaching. They finally found their run game in Melvin Gordon, but they're unfortunate to lose Keenan Allen so early. So
New Orleans has one thing going for it, right? The NFC South, the top teams, the Falcons, 3-1. The Buccaneers, Panthers, and Saints are all 1-3. Is there a possibility that, do you think the Panthers will turn around, Buccaneers, or Saints? Let's say, what three of those teams has the best chance to?
If I had put my money on it, to the Panthers with best chance to turn around, just because
I would say
of what
the
we see with
Buccaneers.
Cam Newton.
So the Saints, no.
No, I don't see
I
the
believe
Saints coming
Jameis
back.
Winston is in the top 5 for also most interceptions with 80.
Young team still. But moving on, the Pittsburgh Steelers bounce back after a humiliating defeat to the Eagles, and they win 43-14, and now we're 3-1, Kansas City 2-2. What are your thoughts on the Steelers?
Well, I think what we're seeing here is because we see Kansas City also the week before humiliate the Jets, and we see Pittsburgh getting humiliated by the Eagles. I think what this is just a result of, I think, Kansas City just did successful because they have an average defense playing a mediocre offense right now by the Jets. And then you have the blowout with the Eagles blowing out the Steelers. I think that's just a result of a strong Eagles defense. I believe they've allowed the least amount of points in the league so far. And they actually have the best, besides the Vikings, they had the best, one of the top 5 defenses. And honestly, I think this is a great Steelers team. They have some setbacks. I believe they're getting Le'Veon Bell back, or they did get him back, actually. I might be mistaken. And of course, they lost Martavis Bryant, which is a huge loss in their offense. And they got the injuries with Marcus Whedon. And they got the new 10, Jesse James. But once all that falls in the fold, this is going to be a competitive team that could compete with the Bengals and force a Super Bowl run.
So we've now seen Kansas City's defense. They had a great game against the Jets and Ryan Fitzpatrick, and now they have a terrible game against the Steelers. Do you think the Jets game was just a fluke, and Fitzpatrick was forcing some things?
As I said, Fitzpatrick was he was just. The early interceptions were his mistakes in the red zone. That was completely his judgment. Some of the passes were also bounced off by receivers, and then a lot of them were just last game desperations, okay? It was probably one of the worst performances we saw in the quarterback probably in the last 10 years. But I think, as I said before, what a result of it just is the Kansas City with an average defense with Don Terry, Poe, Marcus Peters, and Eric Berry just playing a mediocre team right now that doesn't have it together.
And I think it compares. They're playing the Jets, now they're playing the Steelers with Big Ben. I think this is Big Ben's best season, at least I've seen him play in a while.
So for the Steelers, they got humiliated by the Eagles. Was that just because
The Steelers are going to get humiliated by the Jets next week, though.
you're ready for it? But the Eagles, they don't play this week, okay? So let's fit them in somewheres. The Steelers lost to the Eagles in tremendous fashion. Was that the Steelers just really bad, or the Eagles a for real team with Carson Wentz?
I'm biased again because I'm an Eagles fan, but I think it's a combination. The Steelers did have a bad week, but also I think the Eagles' defense is one of the top defenses in the league this year. They have good defensive line that could rush the passer. Their safeties they might be the best safeties in the league. I mean, they have a good defense.
Look, the Eagles are undefeated right now, but if you look they've only put up a total of their 4 games 92 points so far, and that's actually low for an undefeated team right now. Usually an undefeated team would have reached over 100. They're very close, but they haven't met it yet. But
you see that 3 games, that's a lot of points.
With points against, though, they've allowed the least amount of points. So is it really Carson Wentz, that offense, carrying this team, or is it this renewed Eagles defense built by Doug Peterson right now, led by guys like Malcolm Jenkins? So I think it's their defense.
Okay. Well, Carson Wentz passed over by the Browns, the number 2 pick, and they traded it to the Eagles. The Eagles looked for that quarterback. Originally, they were going to have Sam Bradford, right, as the starter. Then they trade Sam Bradford to the Vikings, and now we have Carson Wentz as a starter. But speaking of Sam Bradford, the Monday night game just last night was the Vikings versus the Giants. The Vikings end up winning 24-10, and Bradford's looked impressive.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the way Bradford's playing. I mean, I did not expect this with the trade coming out that they'd be 4-0 at this point. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but did you expect that?
I hate Sam Bradford. He's one of my least favorite quarterbacks. I think he's a bum. But look at this. The only reason Sam Bradford is doing successful is because the first time in his career, he actually has a decent offensive line.
Yeah.
He also finally has weapons in Stephon Diggs and Kyle Rudolph. And then, of course, the Vikings have the best defense, surprisingly, in the league right now. That defense is carrying the team. It's not Sam Bradford. I want to point that out. Sam Bradford, all he's doing is going there and game managing the offense. He has not put up impressive enough stats yet for me to declare him a good quarterback. He is a below-average quarterback on a good team. I just want to point that out because Sam Bradford sucks.
I mean,
he's always sucked, and he'll continue to suck.
You can't suck if you're 4-0. I mean, I mean, if
Can't be
Ryan
that bad.
Fitzpatrick was on the team, I don't think they'd be 4-0 at this point.
Oh yes, they would. Yes, they would. You could put who could you put in there? You could put in like
Ryan
Jamarcus
Lee?
Russell, and they would still win.
Goodness.
Okay.
Okay, well, you heard it here first. DeMarcus, sign up, get the cleats on, go to the Minnesota Vikings. So the Vikings lose Teddy Bridgewater, and is this? I mean, I think for Billy, I think it doesn't matter who you put the quarterback
It doesn't
in.
matter because what's going to happen is Teddy's going to come back next season, do even better than the Vikings doing now. They're going to lay it up. And it's just proven that the Vikings have been even better with Teddy. And you know what? They're going to either trade Bradford away or just cut him. They're probably going to use him as trade bait.
Okay.
I think they'll use him as trade bait as well. And I think a team like the Browns or something will be like, oh, he did so amazing this year. Let's pick him up or something.
So Sam Bradford needs to win a Super Bowl this year and retire. That's what you're telling me.
Probably.
Okay. Well, the New York Giants, they're not 2-2, and Odell Beckham is having some problems, I hear. He's had some attitude issues on and off the field, and in the Vikings game, if you watched it, he very much struggled with some controversial calls and stuff like that. What do you guys think about Odell Beckham right now?
Look, Odell's trying too hard to be like my guy T.O. Only T.O. can be T.O. T.O.'s the second greatest wide receiver of all time. No one can be like T.O. Then he tries to be like Chad Johnson here with his cockiness. No one can be Ocho Cinco. Only Ocho Cinco can be Ocho Cinco. Odell needs an attitude check at this point in time. He's only in like his second year.
Second year, yep.
And you know what? He's put up, I don't know, he's put up good enough stats for people to take note of him. It's ever since that big catch.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he's not a team player right now, and he's what's tearing this Giants team apart.
So in that draft, you had Odell Beckham and you had Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins, of course, the Bills went up and took the Browns pick at number 4 and took him, and Odell went, I believe, at number 10 to the Giants. Out of both of their careers so far, I mean, they're both only 2 years in, who do you think has the highest ceiling, Odell or Sammy Watkins?
I believe Odell has a higher ceiling, but his attitude is going to hold him back.
Yeah, I agree with that. Odell's a great player, just his attitude's holding him back from a lot of things.
I have injury concerns with Watkins, and I don't think Watkins is as good as people think he is.
Well, that's all the games, and we've done all of them. But do you guys have anything else to add? Any major stat accomplishments or anything that really is interesting that you want to throw in?
I think it's just worth noting about the Atlanta Falcons again with the amazing game they had with Julio Jones having 300 yards. And how many yards did Matt Ryan?
500, I believe, like 5. So 500 plus.
Yeah, it's one of the few times in NFL history that's ever happened. I believe Julio Jones broke a team record. I'm not sure if that was a league record or not. I know he's only now one of like 6 or 7 wide receivers ever reached that pinnacle. So very impressive for Julio Jones, and I like to see what happens with the Falcons in the future.
Well, this has been DKR Sports NFL wrap-up show. Catch us again on Friday for an NFL preview show where we'll tell you all about the great times that the NFL can have. Can the Jets do it? Will Geno Smith finally make a start? But catch us Friday, and we'll see you then. I've been Rubin Wright. This has been Kyler Coutts. This has been Billy Frey. Catch you later.
Yeah.